Test, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay.
Test.
Okay.
Test.
All right. This is 128.
No, 1. Is it? Okay.
I think so.
I saw Pat Bolger commented.
Yeah. What'd he say?
He says, I take offense to it because someone said, what's too fat for racing or something like that.
Oh, I didn't read that part.
But he's like, hey, I take offense to that.
So we are at, this will be 128. Okay.
Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make this shit happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make this shit happen right here.
And welcome back once again to the Endurance Hour podcast. The boys are back from our third hiatus.
It wasn't a hiatus.
Well, whatever it was. This is episode 128. We're back at the service station. I love this background noise.
Yeah, it is kind of nice.
I went to get our drinks, and I was telling this gal, this is my second time here, and I feel like this is like Central Perk from Friends, and I'm just now discovering this.
I know.
She says college students come here, some older people come here in the afternoon. It's a really neat location, and the possibility, the rumor that it'd be sold, and she kind of confirmed it, but didn't have a firm date.
Oh, interesting.
So sadly, it might not be here for very long.
Well, someone might just buy the business and continue the business with a different name. But,
I hope.
It's normally pretty busy. It's a lot of square feet here.
It is.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, I think we have a prayer going on over here.
I know there is a prayer happening.
What, are they praying for our podcast?
I don't think you can do that. That's not prayer. You can't pray for something to be good. That's not what prayer's for.
No.
Then it won't happen. That's bad. That's selfish.
Oh, damn it. Well, I hope we have a good podcast. I have high hopes.
Yeah. I have high hopes.
We are,
because if it isn't good, we can blame it on God.
Damn it. So we are recording this for everybody, recording video and audio. So you can go to the our YouTube channel, which is YouTube user, whatever it is, SBR Vids. And you can, I always say, also add that to our Facebook page. So if you want to look at our podcast in its entirety, in video form, you can.
Right.
Otherwise, iTunes is the preferred method, I think. Sometimes Stitcher, Smart Radio. But Roger, go ahead and look at the camera real quick. And I saw this. Roger's got new spectacles.
I do.
Why?
I've had glasses for a long time. I stopped wearing them about 12 years ago, and then I threw them on about 2 years ago again, thinking, and I got a headache right away, like after wearing them for an hour, and it had to do with my prescription changing, I suspect. So I finally went in and got my eyes done again this year, and then or checked, and then I just been dragging my feet. I just,
So have you been wearing contacts?
No.
So
I just squint a lot. You see me squint.
That's true.
I squint all the time.
I've been wearing glasses too. I have two pair. One are rimless, and the other one are my Clark Kent glasses.
Your rimless ones were for being in front of the camera, yeah, because you can't even see them.
They're anti-reflective as well,
right?
And the other ones I like because I have a fascination with Clark Kent.
Oh, okay.
Superman. So I love those. In fact, when I went to get my glasses, it was up off Francis. I forget the name of it. It's Vision North Vision. Anyways, I pulled up a picture of the newest Superman, Henry Cavill, I think his name is, and I showed a picture. I said, I'm looking for rims like this.
and a cape.
And a cape, if I can. Can I do like it? And can I also have a head of hair like that guy? Because that would be really nice. So they found me a pair of glasses, which I thought were pretty darn close.
Wow.
So that's how I got my glasses, and you're looking pretty smart too.
These are just Costco specials. You know what's crazy? Actually, this is kind of funny. The brand is actually Gargoyles. And Gargoyles, which is interesting, Gargoyles were actually my very first cycling glass back in '85. A man by the name of Gino Lasecki, who runs Round and Round, who puts on the 24-hour bike race. He had all these connections and weird connections with, I don't know, this is back in the 80s. And he put in an order for these Gargoyles, which were a shooting glass. You got to remember, that's back in the there weren't a lot of factory pilots didn't come out till I think 2 years even after that. The Oakley factory pilots, and then so anyway, these were a shooting glass. I mean, you could shoot a pellet into them. That's how they were advertised, and they were kind of a wraparound glass, so they were really cool. But these are made by the same company. They are not a wraparound glass. They are a little more just traditional square frame.
Do you have a different do you feel like you have a different personality? Because I do when I put my glasses on. Does something, not a little switch go off? Like you feel a little bit different? Like, not that you're smarter, but I do this a lot.
Yeah.
I'm aware of them.
That means pushing on your nose, keep popping them up.
They slide a little bit, but I just feel like, okay, now I'm a little more focused. I'm play on words on accident, but I feel a little more focused when I have glasses on.
I don't know. I do definitely notice a lot more wrinkles in people. I got to be honest with you. I do. I see. Everyone I've talked to, I'm just like, wow, you have more wrinkles than not you, but just people in general that I work with and stuff. I'm starting to think, wow, you look, you're older than I thought, But yeah.
Is it distance?
Yeah, it's distance.
It helps
clarity.
with distance.
Yeah, like especially at night, driving, signs, things. I mean, you saw me. If I pulled the corners of my eyes back with my fingers, that I could see perfectly fine. However, certain, I guess, ethnic groups might think I'm making fun of them. But everyone joked about it. I called it my super scope. I could see anywhere. I could see through things when I did that. But unfortunately, there's no glass system that allows me to pull back the corners
a facelift
of my eyes.
of some kind.
Yeah, I guess I could do that. Maybe some tape or something.
Like Bruce Jenner, maybe. Start really tightening your face.
Yeah, and wearing women's clothes.
Ugh. Okay. I have a little comment on your gargoyles.
Okay.
It was 1984. The first Terminator movie came out. And that's where his glasses were.
Or gargoyles.
And I bought those, and they look ridiculous on me.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were giant.
They're huge.
And they were the most expensive sunglasses I ever bought at the time. I think they were $85,
Right.
something ridiculous. But I wanted to be cool. 85 was, I was transitioning from junior high to high school.
Oh, man.
I think it was my first year playing football, so I was a big stud quarterback, and I thought I was cool, so I went and got these glasses, and looking back, they did not fit my head at all.
Oh, man. What was cool back then, that was post-Glacier glasses. Varnays probably
Varnays
were cool.
were popular.
Ravos. Everything that was far too expensive for any high school kid to actually really afford.
I had no place to be buying those. There's no reason I should have paid $85 for a pair of sunglasses back then. I would now.
Right. Well, shoot, that's nothing now.
Now, yeah. Unless you can get a pack like Rudy Project, they'll give you a pack sometimes of replaceable lenses.
Yeah, the Ride-Ons, the Zions.
That's great. That's a good value,
There's
I think.
a ton of them. And yeah, I have a lot. Matter of fact, the one I just recently got from Rudy Project actually has clear lenses in them as well.
Yeah.
Clear, racing red, the dark, I think, and then the blue, laser blue, I think is what
Well,
it's
this is
called.
perfect. We're supposed to be talking about endurance sports.
Right. We'll bring it around. So my glasses and Rudy Project.
So let's talk about the differences. I remember I posted a picture on my Instagram account. I am Dave Erickson, by the way, when I went to do Lake Stevens last year. And I think you replied to it, and I laid out all my sunglasses lenses. And I said, which one should I use this weekend? And there was a yellow tint, a clear one, and a darker one. Maybe a fourth one, I forget which. What are the advantages? When should you use a clear glass, yellow glass, or dark glass?
I don't. Red is probably the most. Red and dark are the two that I use the most, and the photochromatic, the ones that are adjusting. I think that's what it's called. The ones that adjust to sunlight. Where it gets darker.
Oh, right.
And I think those are slick to have too, because they adjust fairly quickly. Rudy Project. Again, that's what I have. So plugging them or not, that's what I wear. I really like them. They're some of my favorite ones for mountain biking. Because you're going in and out of sun and different things. And they aren't, when they're dark, they don't get crazy dark. But, when you're racing a race that's early in the morning, you're in the mountains or something, you definitely don't want a dark-only lens because you start losing, you can't see in the shade, the sun's not up yet. So, personally, races like that, even Ironman, I run, for the most part, I run the racing red from Rudy Project as well, because it really does everything. And then when I get out on the run, then I switch glasses, not the lenses. I just switch to a whole new different glass to the darkest possible lens I can possibly put on, because my eyes are pretty sensitive to light.
To avoid squinting too?
Yeah, and just to be relaxed. And so I wear a super dark lens, as dark as I can get, and I normally wear a visor, to block the light. It just relaxes, makes me feel cooler. Clear is pretty good at night. I ride with clear riding at night.
Like mountain biking at night?
Yeah, I guess I ride a lot at night.
Okay.
Like my fat bike and mountain biking. But that's about the only time. And yellow I don't wear. I used to wear it like skiing, but I don't really wear yellow. Maybe some people have better luck with yellow. I just never have found it to be more advantageous than some of the other. the dark, the blue, the red, and the clear. Those are the those are my staples.
Don't the yellows kind of brighten things up, almost magnify the light and really help out?
Yeah, and I think it's everything that I try to avoid.
If you got a sensitive eye,
yeah,
sure.
I think so. Maybe that's why I don't like them. But yeah, I mean,
overcast days that might work.
Yeah.
It just seems silly. It seems silly to have a clear sunglass, but understanding as our endurance athlete audience does that if you're going at 20, 25 miles per hour on a bike, you don't want a bug hitting your eye.
Right.
Or anything getting in your eyes, drying them out.
Right.
Running, I can see that.
I've been riding a ton, and I'm on my snow bike, which means I'm going very, very slow, and there's some really steep hills that I'm climbing up, and I'm generating a lot of heat, and my glasses will fog up.
Yeah.
So I end up pulling them off and putting them in my pocket, and then I leave them off, and then my eyes are just watering like just like a faucet, and and I'm going down descents, and I can't, I'm just trying to open my eyes as wide as I can just to see, and water's dripping it. So. Yeah, I'm a big. I mean, when I ride my road bike, especially, I'll always have eye protection. The eye protection is about as for me about as important as a helmet. So.
Funny you should mention helmet. You saw this on our Facebook page, right?
I just saw it on the way out. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm pulling up our Endurance Hour Facebook page, and I threw out a request for questions and topics tonight. And here are some questions we have. How often should you replace your helmet? I don't know. I would think that you can pretty much, unless you fall down and damage it, why not just keep it? I can see you maybe replacing those little pads on the inside if they get too sweaty and worn down, but I haven't replaced anything unless I get a new paint scheme.
Right. Well, and I think if you're riding in a helmet that is a full face helmet that says Bell on the side and it has a paint scheme of Evel Knievel, it might be time to update. But basically saying if your helmet's really old, especially bike helmets, and I believe styrofoam does have a life, and I always hear
half-life.
Yeah. I think they basically say that the styrofoam you need to replace it, but that might be bike helmet companies saying that too. But if you have cracks or if you've crashed in your helmet at all and go, well, it still looks good. I hit my head, but it still looks fine. All these helmets are designed to crumple around your head. So when you hit it, you might not see any damage. It's not like there's going to be a giant crack in the helmet, but it's been compressed, it's been compromised. So, and a lot of helmet companies give a free crash replacement because they like to get the helmet back to do some research on it to find out how their helmet stood up. I think in general, I think older helmets are probably pretty out. I would say if your helmet's 10 years old, you might want to get a new one. And it's old anyway. You should want a new one because the technology out there is nuts right now for helmets. It's the standards changing, whether it's Snell or there's a bunch of them. ANZ, I think, was one of them at one time. They are all certified, and that's why they have problems in Kona, is because the certification in the United States is actually higher than that of Europe, in terms of the impact that a helmet needs to take. So anyway, to go back to his question, when should you replace it? If you crash in it, you should replace it. If it's over 10 years old, you should probably look into replacing it. And even if you drop your helmet and it takes a pretty big fall and stuff, this is protecting your head. This is a pretty big deal.
Dropping your helmet just from your waist down?
Well,
that doesn't seem like a big deal. I think it depends
on. I think dropping your helmet, like you're driving along, it falls off your car and it tumbles along. You got to remember these things aren't designed. They're not the old motorcycle helmets where you get mad, or your football helmet and you throw it on the ground. These are designed to break. I remember I had a Giro Pro Light back in 87 that I crashed and hit my head hard a couple times, and that's when the Giros used to have the Lycra cover over them, and the Lycra cover was part of the helmet. You needed to keep that on because when you hit your head, the helmet would explode. Basically break and crumble. Well, if you didn't have that cover on, all that basically styrofoam would just be blown out, it would be disappearing, and then you wouldn't have anything protecting your head. So if you hit your head again, you don't have anything on your head.
Yeah.
So the Lycra cover kept it around your head if you hit it more than once, which I did. But
On one fall? You hit it more than
it
once?
was a big crash. It was actually down at Nationals in Colorado in 87. And I think it was all down there. That was the Hincapie, Armstrong, all those.
What were the conditions? Were you
Not
going around a
Hincapie,
corner?
Julep.
Was it wet surface?
No, it was actually a descent. It was a very fast descent. It was on the Morgul-Bismarck course, which is very popular. It's on
the same Bismarck
American
cars?
Flyers.
Yeah.
American
Love that
Flyers.
movie.
So it's a really fast descent. We were traveling, a good 50 miles an hour as a pack, and there's just a crash in the middle. And at that speed, you normally don't worry about it because you're going so fast that everything's going the direction that you're going. But somehow this bike flipped up and started rolling across the road perpendicular to me, and I hit it just square on and flew and slid and broke my finger. Matter of fact, the scars on my back.
Oh, yeah?
Are actually
Lower back?
Yeah, are actually from that accident. Yeah. So it was a crazy accident, but broke my collarbone, broke my finger. It was a.
How painful is, which one's more painful, collarbone or finger?
Oh, collarbone by far. I mean, I
That's
think
the
I
front
looked,
right here,
I think
right?
I looked. Yeah, I think I looked at my finger and went, "Well, broke that," but my collarbone. Oh, and that was totally broken through. So it was overlaying itself, and
Ugh.
I mean that's a weak. It's a weak bone. I mean, have you ever broke your collarbone?
No.
No, I'm surprised.
I haven't broken anything.
Really?
My heart.
Oh, my heart, you broke. But
No,
that's
no.
been broken so many times. It's stronger because of it.
It's melded back stronger, and thanks to my wife, it's the best it's ever been.
Oh, look at that.
She doesn't listen to the podcast.
See, Jesse listens to it all the time.
Well, Jesse, you can tell her.
Yeah, tell her to listen to this part. How far are we in? About 16 minutes?
16:10, yeah. Wow.
So anyway, there's some helmets, when to replace it, and also, make sure your helmet matches your kit.
Yeah.
You know what?
Well,
and
some
I'm going to
people-
say that. I'm going to be honest about that, especially triathletes who buy all this gizmos
The
and
pink,
gadgets.
the pink helmets that don't match the.
And then you buy this kit, this matching top and your socks and your shorts and everything, and then your helmet. You go and get a neon green or orange or something, and it clashes. It's just like,
Didn't one of your helmets clash from Kona a couple years ago?
no.
The greenish one?
No, that was mainly black.
Oh.
With some neon green, yes, I would
Okay.
agree, with some pinstriping on it. But I would agree that definitely did not totally go with it. But I mean, even now I buy very neutral helmets.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be a, black or a white with very minimal colors.
Here's one of my dilemmas this year, and luckily I'm happy with K-Swiss running shoes, and I
Right.
still have some. I still rotate through them, and I have
Sure.
a couple that I'm saving for races. Is my helmet, my Rudy Project Wingspan? I think it's what it's
Right,
called.
that he had shot up,
What?
shot with paint. He had it
Yes,
painted.
yes. Brooks Airbrush Design, guy out of Louisville, did a
Uh-huh.
great job on it. Kevin Brooks, fantastic job. And so I have the word Timex, and then the M is the M dot.
Right,
And then I have my name, and then I have the word K-Swiss on the helmet.
right,
So I got Timex colors, black, white, and red.
right.
So I make sure I matched it. But now if I change shoes, it'd be kind of, even though I'm not wearing K-Swiss shoes when I'm on the
Right.
bike, but that would be kind of odd. That if you make a commitment on painting your helmet a certain way with certain sponsors, and your sponsors don't come back,
Right.
then you might have a problem.
Well, there's bikes out there. Trek, Speed Concept. I think actually we know someone that has a, K-Swiss sticker on, not sticker, but it's K-Swiss logo underneath the clear coat and stuff, and they
Oh,
don't
yeah?
run in K-Swiss, and because it's a team bike, and that's why. I look at even in the cycling world, Trek makes bikes, the certain bike company, not bike company, but teams have a certain paint scheme and stuff. Oh, you can get the U.S. Postal team colors or whatever it is, but it's just like, but it has all the, the Shimano and
Yeah.
U.S. Postal down the seat tube. And
Yeah.
again, I'm dating a little bit here, but it's like, yeah, but do you want all that stuff on your bike? But,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I think they look cool. I think it's a clean looking bike, especially the Treks with that, whatever company, whether it's K-Swiss, whether it's Shimano, whether it's, I think there's another one on there too, on some of those bikes. Like Chris Leato had Campanolo on his because
Right.
he used Campy parts, and K-Swiss. So it's still a phenomenal bike.
Couple more questions here, and I don't know the answer to this one. The
Sure.
Specialized story with Jan Frodeno?
Well,
Why
I
did they
can
drop him?
say about bikes in general, if you look at the bike industry in general, getting a bike sponsorship is very difficult for pros anymore, and especially Specialized had quite a herd of people, and of course they're looking at return on their investment, how much money they got going out. Versus,
wait a minute, they would drop him?
Well, they might not drop him, but they might say, this is the contract for you this year. We're going to cut your cash payout. We're going to give you
less bonuses,
but maybe the bonuses are tougher to get and they aren't as high. And another company comes along and says, hey, I tell you what, that company, maybe Specialized, says, we'll give you $10,000 this year to ride our bike, and here's your bonus scale. And then who came along? Who is he riding now?
I didn't know. I didn't know.
No, who is it? I want to say Boardman, but it's not Boardman. Canyon bikes. And maybe Canyon came along and said, hey, we'll give you $10,000, but we'll double your bonuses. We'll give you twice as much if you do this, that, and we'll give you 4 bikes, and we'll, and who knows what they'll do, and then we'll do all your clothing and all that. So I'm sure, did they dump him? I don't know. I don't know if they dumped him. I'm sure Specialized is always happy to keep him, but they want to keep him for as little money as possible.
Yeah.
But I think you can ask all of them. Ask Chris Lieto, ask Lindsey Corbin, ask any of these. Well, Chris Lieto's not racing, but ask all these guys. I mean, bike sponsors, for these pros to have bike sponsors, it's tough now. It's not as easy as it used to be. Things are tight.
But if you finish high, it's kind of a no-brainer, wouldn't you think? And I want you to pull back the curtain on this whole bonus
right.
Layout. How do bonuses work for pros?
Well, it depends on what company and cash.
First off the bike, is it a podium finish?
Depends on who your sponsor is. If you're a Blue 70, if you're Blue 70, you're going to want whoever's wearing your suit to be first out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
If you're first out of the water in a 70.3, a world championship, any high points race, I'm guarantee there is. And of course, if you're in a magazine, if you're on the cover, if you're whatever, it's just like all of them. Now, what are the numbers? I don't know. I mean, I can give you rough ideas, but if you win the world championships, it's a pretty, some of these teams will be, it's pretty simple, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is. But again, one person gets that.
Yeah.
One person. So, and it's a pretty safe. If you're fast like Javier Gomez and all the short course guys, the Alistair boys, the Brownlees, Alistair and Jonathan, and you'd race short course because you place in the top 20, you're getting a ton of money, and then on top of it, they get bonuses and they get travel. It's a pretty good gig. So racing Ironman and 70.3 and racing very few races. You're putting a lot of eggs in a basket, I would say. But again, you could ask any pro, but they hold that stuff pretty close to it. They're not going to tell you how much they're making
mm-hmm.
and what they get.
Mm-hmm. It's I don't know if it's common knowledge, but I know this just by being around it the last few years, is that these athletes are getting appearance money.
Oh yeah.
Just to show up to race.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily mean they have to finish.
Nope.
And I know some who are great swimmers who that's their goal, is to be first out of the water, and the rest of it's like, as long as I finish. As long as I finish. I know I'm not going to do well. If I get out of the water first, my Blue 70, hypothetically, my Blue 70 sponsor is going to be great. Happy. Cool. You're out of the water first. Got that picture. You made the media.
Right.
You made the video. You made Dave's video.
Right.
Because I only covered the top 5 or 6 and so on. And I know from sunglasses, just by being around the Oakley brand
mm-hmm.
for a few years, that they too have bonuses for winning on the podium. And,
exposure.
And I recognize this here and there, but and people listening and watching, if you see an athlete in an interview, most of them will wear sunglasses on top of their head somewhere.
On their head.
So I don't think nothing's by accident, and it's really strange. And this is something about Jan Frodeno, for example.
Right.
He was third in
overall,
Kona,
yeah.
and he had very little sponsorship on his person during the pro post-race press conference. And it seemed very odd. Like there was something different about him. Like, oh, he's not wearing anything.
Right.
Whereas the winner, Rennie's got the NASCAR stripes.
She's too small for how many sponsors she has.
But it's strange that he wasn't wearing anything. And there was even Paul Amy a few years ago at Arizona, and he was winning, and then Enrico Llanos passed him. That's when Enrico broke 8 hours at Arizona a few years ago, but he didn't have a kit. And I remember hearing during the commentary, I think I was co-hosting at the time, off and on, that it's like, why isn't he, and I was asking Greg Welch, why isn't he wearing anything? He's probably looking for a sponsor.
Right. Well, Marino Van Honacker up in Whistler this year.
Who won?
You know, he has a kit with his sponsors on it, but at the awards ceremony, at the awards, he was wearing a tank top and shorts. He had nothing on him that had anything. And I know there's a little bit going on there with him as well as sponsors.
What is it? Do you know?
No, I think there's just people are negotiating. People are, you know, and he's like, I'm going to do the minimum. You do the minimum for me, I'll do the minimum for
so
you.
They're sending a message.
Yeah, and
are some of them not getting it, or they're all aware that if you go up on the podium afterwards?
Oh my gosh!
I see the ladies wearing dresses. They look nice. They can't really wear their sponsor name, but if they look, you know, they all get dolled up and they put their dresses on, they get their trophies. That seems a little different, doesn't it?
I don't know. I think anytime that you have a captive audience that's sitting there in the spectators, and you got thousands of people
Photos,
or whatever
video.
staring at you, and they're all taking pictures, and all the media, the news media is there taking pictures. I'd say you want to have your sponsors represented.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. That's just me.
Interesting. Okay. So moving on for our questions. Let me see if I have a couple more questions on.
There's one on there. I got something that came through about weight. What's
John Newman, body weight versus performance. What are your thoughts on being too light? And this probably has to do with your height.
True.
And
no, I mean just saying true.
Yeah.
You can be too light, and I think a lot of people struggle with that a little bit, especially in Ironman. Drop a lot of weight, and they get too light. I've seen a lot of people write articles about that, about saying I got too light this year and it compromised my performance. You can get too light as a cyclist, where you start to lose power and your power to weight ratio gets sort of imbalanced. Short course athletes in general are a little thinner because they're typically runners.
Yeah.
You know, and a little, you know, leaner. I think Joe Umpenauer is a great example. You look at him, and
He's a skinny one.
I could, you know,
is he a short course guy?
Could snap off his arm and sign something with it. But he used to be, he's short course very much, and now he's going to obviously halves and fulls, and actually he just I chatted with him for a short bit about, you know, just he had a good race recently, and I think in Arizona, as a matter of fact, and realizing that you got to slow down. You can't, you know, he's been racing, you know,
he's
short
early
course
40s.
stuff forever. I mean, that's what he's raced, and then just to jump into Ironman, oh man, it's like it's so hard not to race. He said you just get in there, and it's just like you are going slow. You know, it's just like this is a ride. You know, and it's so hard to. It's like this isn't racing. This is just conserving, and you know. But he's figuring it out. And
how do you know if you're too light?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think you look at your performance. You know, your body can't stay at a certain weight for very long without you struggling. Like when people drop, you know, it's like, oh, that's my racing weight. That doesn't mean during the race season that you hold that weight the entire time. It means that you've trained and trained and trained, and as you drift into that, into race week, potentially you're eating a lot cleaner, you're nervous, and you slowly drift down to your race weight in the weeks leading up. Mm-hmm. But you can't stay down there. You can't always operate at that level often when you're right at that line. Your body pretty much is going to tell you what's comfortable. It finds that. You'll know by eating and not eating or what you eat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, in general,
if you're feeling weaker, could that be part? That might be nutrition, right?
It could be nutrition, could be lack of recovery, could be a lot of things. But I think Ironman in general, you can get away with being a little heavier because you're going a lot slower. But you might also argue saying, well, but it's a lot longer, so that you're carrying that weight a lot longer. But your body's relying on a lot of stuff that day, and if you're depriving it and running really lean that day, mm-hmm. you're not going to have the fuel for your body to rely on.
It's kind of a hard question to answer.
Everyone's different, and that's the hard part. I know what's too light for me, and I know what I'd rather not be at. I've raced Ironman, I've weighed in Hawaii and just went, holy oh my gosh, I've never been that heavy. Well, I was hydrated. It was, I was retaining a bit of water.
You mean as of like race morning?
Race morning.
But then
and
again, you're going to
like,
lose 5, 6,
yeah,
7,
and you're
10
losing
pounds
all that
on the
water
day.
weight, real quickly. Well, not real quickly, and I lost a lot of things that day. So, yeah. So, I mean, everyone's a little different. I think if you just eat clean, get rid of the processed foods, get rid of the sugar if you at all possible, especially the refined stuff, and fuel your workouts and eat reasonably. I think, don't train so you can eat so you can optimize your training.
All right, Coach Thompson.
No, everyone's different. Sorry, John.
A week ago, we posted a link to an article about Gatorade and Ironman announcing a multi-year partnership. So goodbye, Power Bar Perform, or is it Ironman Perform?
I think it's
Ironman Perform is out.
Okay.
I think. Isn't that what it is? Or Power Bar is being replaced. Gatorade is replacing Power Bar.
I don't think it was. Yeah, we didn't have Gatorade. It wasn't Gatorade at this races.
What?
I'm trying to think what I think it was Power. Ironman.
It's so confusing.
Perform. Yeah,
Those.
I don't know.
So here's the article. Now I found it. It says through this new partnership, Gatorade Endurance Formula will be distributed at all Ironman and 70.3 races in the U.S. Exclusive multi-year partnership takes effect as of now, January 1st. I don't know if it says what it replaces. Probably not. They probably don't want to put
they don't
words.
want to plug it. Yeah.
Yeah, give them their. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to tell you what that is. But so we have some replies to that feedback. And Todd Shelton says, I haven't tried it yet, but I don't think it will be a problem for him. Better than Perform, says another person who typed in here. Lisa says, thank goodness. John Newman, it doesn't affect him because he only uses water. John, I hope you use more than water on your races.
Well, he might just say that's all he takes from the aid stations. Maybe he fuels with something different.
Andrew Parlock. Funny enough, I found out yesterday as I was preparing to order the Power Bar drink mix. Just glad I know so I can train with the correct drink. That's very important, right? Train with what you may take in on the course if you use on-course nutrition or hydration.
If you use on-course stuff, it's, for the most part, I take my own with me in my bottles, and then I'm just like, I shouldn't say just like John, but just like what he said, what I take from aid stations is water. I don't take anything else from aid stations on the bike, especially. It's just water.
Gotcha. Dan Wilson says, I'm indifferent. I think the high-end Gatorade is about the same as Perform. So he used the word Perform. So,
yeah, I think you're looking at sugar content. You're looking at, taste. You're looking at sodium. They're probably very similar. However, Steve Anderson, who's in the, who works at Picky Bars now, who worked for another company, worked for Goo. I asked him about that, and he says, oh, my gosh. He says, if you're on course, that's huge because people then now are buying your product because just like they said, they're going to want to train with that product. But he says, but it costs a company a ridiculous amount of money because they pay, say, Ironman $50,000, and then on top of it, they provide all the product for all their races. That's a lot of product. So the $50,000 probably is nothing compared to, getting all those packs and distributing them, getting them to wherever they need to go. So I don't know. It's it's a big industry.
Yeah. So what else is what's going on with you these days with training? I know we got some big news as of today that we now know where we're going for our Timex camp,
right?
Our team camp where we get together, meet some of the new members, whereas we're only 2 new members this year.
Right.
And get our equipment, learn about the products, and just get a feel for what's expected of us this year as a team. So we're going to Tucson, Arizona.
Right. It'll be exciting. Yeah. So
when you found out that news, what'd you do?
I went, oh gosh, I got to get in shape. No. What did I do? I immediately booked my flight. That's what I did. I think I'm excited because, again, this is kind of boring for other people, but when we're in Washington State and we have with our last, 5 camps, I don't remember, a lot of camps.
5 years in New York and then the last year in Florida.
5 years in New York?
They had a 5-year partnership with the Giants.
Oh my gosh. So we were in New York 5 years. Good golly. And then we were down in Florida last year. So, I mean, for us flying, it doesn't get much worse than that. So to have it in Arizona, it just cuts our travel time in half practically. And warmer conditions. I think warmer than Florida, I would suspect it'll be. Well, at least the warmer than the weather we had in Florida. Remember, it was really cold the time we were there. It warmed up, but when we arrived, it was like it was chilly. They were like, yeah, this is the coldest it's been. Great. Sounds great. But anyway, yeah, so we got that going. I registered us for the 24-hour mountain bike race. Pretty excited about that.
We probably talked about that last time, about what our season hopes and plans were.
Right. And then just kind of tinkering around, trying to, navigate around a little bit of the snow we have here. So
I'm not sure if I confirmed. I did register for Arizona.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
I
got my slot taken care of, so I'm in for that. So I'm definitely doing one full this year, and then hopefully that half locally, the Troika, based on the calendar. It looks good.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to Craig. Craig, you listening? Are you listening, Craig? I know you are. Watching TV with your feet up, drinking a beer. Possibly doing Coeur d'Alene. Not sure. Just so I can beat Craig.
Wednesday. I'm wondering if he'll start training.
Craig, are you training right now? He can't talk back, so I guess I better not talk to him.
He's not training.
He's training. He's doing some training.
Now, see, we can just, because he can't defend himself.
That's right.
Craig, he hasn't been training
at all.
He looked really heavy when I saw him.
He's putting all that extra weight on for Ironman because he knows he can be heavier.
He just heard that you can run a little heavy into Ironman.
Are you smiling right now, Craig?
No, he's got to keep up with his wife.
Soon to
girlfriend, sorry.
Well, common law wife.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, Craig, get your ass in gear.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
She's a machine.
So, what else we want to make sure we cover today? I have potential topics.
Right. I don't know. I think right now is the time everyone's establishing their routines and so forth. And there was a great podcast that Bevan James Isles from I Am Talk, he has a fitness behavior podcast too that he did recently that I would encourage people to give a listen to. And it basically is kind of he suggests looking at the year of your top 10, significant events of the year, and I'm not talking about, this race and that race. I'm talking about just significant events. And for me,
could be family, could be work,
anything.
Could be travel.
My buddy's mom died, and that's, that was a big event. And something, and Jessie starting her bar classes and all that. That's huge. Jessie and I sat down and mapped out all these things, and you think 10, that's a lot, and all of a sudden you just, it's quick to fill that scale. But also, he suggests coming up with what excuses have you come up with throughout the year that potentially hurt your progress to be your better self. Meaning, what excuses like. For me, I could use something like age. I'm like, I'm getting older, so I'm not going to be as fat. So I'm probably not going to. And you start just downplaying it. Versus for me, in Ironman, I seem to be getting faster and faster. For me, if I mean my times, it doesn't mean I'm a better athlete. It just means I'm being smarter about it. But just looking at that and what excuses do we come up with regularly that potentially put us back? And I think that's really very reflective to say, because typically with excuses you build on more excuses, and that excuse will carry into the subsequent year, and then that it's a good podcast to listen to start to identify potentially some holes and weaknesses and things that we do to sabotage being our better self. And there's a lot of things we do. There's tons of things that we do as athletes. We focus. We have a weakness. Say we're not very good runners, or we don't like running, but we like riding our bikes. That would probably be me. So what do you do more of? You ride your bike more, even though the biggest growth you have is in running. Yeah, but I don't really like to run. I'm not a good runner. Well, do you know why you're a good cyclist? Is because you ride your bike all the time. If you ran as much as you rode, you'd probably be a great runner. So, there's all those types of things. We typically avoid things that we don't enjoy as much, and yet those are often the areas that we need to work on the most. Just like, on the bike, afraid, it's like, well, I don't really, intervals are difficult. They hurt and I don't like them. It's like, but they make you better. Well, I just like to go out and ride long. Well, you're not going to get any faster doing that,
It's almost procrastinating or avoiding what's necessary.
Exactly. And we come up with excuses for it. And our human nature just allows us to do that. It allows us to rationalize, choices that we make or avoiding things. And, I'll start that tomorrow. I'll do this. And there's another guy, what is it? Eric Thomas, I believe is his name. He's a motivational speaker. Look him up. I mean, there's clips all over YouTube. But he says he was talking to his high school group, and he basically said, you guys don't, you want it, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You want it sort of. It's like, but you don't want it really bad. You don't want it bad enough. You don't want it more than trying to be cool. You don't want it more than eating junk food. You don't want it
this
more.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah,
to the
he's
kids?
basically saying, and the end part, which I think applies to many of us, is like you don't even want it. You don't even want it bad enough to get up in the morning. You'd rather sleep than achieve your goals. You would choose sleeping over your goals, because that is so true that we say, oh, I'm going to be my best self. I'm going to be the best in this. I'm going to really focus on this year, this. But you can't even get up in the morning to not to do the event, but to even train to do the event. That you put sleep. Well, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it in the afternoon. I'm just tired right now. It's like, wow, that's so powerful and truthful. And but again, Eric Thomas, look it up on YouTube. There's short clips. If you just type in his name, Eric Thomas motivation or something like that. It's pretty, and he's got this raspy voice, and it's pretty impactful. But anyway, it's all that stuff. Is what are we doing right now? How are we setting things in place right now? Because it's easy to take the time off in January or late December and go, this is my time off. I'm going to chill, hang out. I'm not going to really focus on what I'm eating, whatever. No schedule, just going to have fun. But eventually, your time off and chilling time comes to an end. And when that comes to an end, you got to be able to get out of first gear and get into second gear and third gear and fourth gear pretty quick. And it is a transitional time, but again, how long, even when you're excited and you got your workout kit and you got your water bottle and you got everything, and you still got to show up and run on the treadmill. You can't just show up and stare at the treadmill and expect, well, that was a good workout. So I just start looking at those things, pre-planning those, how you're getting your butt out of the bed in the morning. How important are these things to you? And obviously, this is a hobby. This is for fun. Keeping it fun, but also keeping it in perspective of other things happening in your life that actually pay bills, that actually, your family and stuff like that. So, there's a lot to juggle around. So I think your season, your training plan, and all that stuff is far greater, far bigger than getting to the pool in the morning and getting a run in the afternoon, or going on a long ride, or whatever it is. It's a lot involved to be your best self. So
I love giving my wife Melissa, these phrases, and she says, like, I'm just a quoting person sometimes, like, oh, here's another, canned response, but if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail by default.
Right.
And I've
what
thought
do
of
you
that
expect?
Yeah, and I've heard this before, and statistically, you're more likely to do something if you write it down.
Right.
If you make that list, if it's a day beforehand. And I still fall back on this, and this is something you said, and I can apply it to other things. And this is from Boise a couple of years ago when it was so cold. We're out there waiting. The water, it was colder outside. The water was actually warmer for us.
And the water was cold.
The water was cold. It was in the 50s, high 50s, I think, or maybe 55 or 56. But I remember you saying, oh, this is during the pre-swim.
Right.
I went to the pre-swim, and I told you, oh my God, I couldn't swim.
Right.
It was too cold. And it was you saying that those are conditions you have no control over. Accept it, in so many words.
Right.
That's what it is. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
Kind of like the same thing. Tomorrow, I'm swimming. Well, don't bitch about it. Tomorrow, you're swimming.
Right.
Commit to it.
Right.
You're going to swim.
Right.
Whether it's, you got to put, and I do this to myself, I'll just put my blinders on. I don't think about it. The alarm goes off. I just like get up. I just close my eyes, get up, and go through the routine without thinking, because if I think, then an excuse will seep in.
Well, I'll do it a little later.
Yeah, I can't think.
Don't
I have
turn
to
on
go
the
through
computer.
motions.
Don't.
No, just get in the bag, walk out the door, and go.
Right.
And I think that's
and you swim on your own too. I mean, people that have groups to swim with, I don't want to say have it easier, but it's easier to show up to a group that is all going to jump in the water at the same time and do a workout, and someone else provides the workout, versus doing it on your own. I don't know. Tough.
I think the personalities of triathletes, they're all over the board, and I almost prefer going by myself because.
Right.
I have an issue with authority and control. I want to control my life. I want to control my schedule. I don't want to be told what to do, and so I want to go when I want to go.
Right.
And that's a perfect example of the weekends of these bar classes or master swim classes. Like I don't want to go yet.
Right.
When I'm ready to go, I'm going to go. And if that morning I feel like it, then I'll go. But I don't want to go based on someone else telling me I have to go.
It might be hard to go to a bar class.
I know I'm going to have to go eventually.
It might be hard to go to one that's not happening. I'm going to show up now. Well, they left an hour and a half
I can't
ago.
quite do that. But if it's swimming, it's like I'm going to go when I'm ready and I'm feeling it.
Right.
I'm an emotional athlete. I got to go based on feel.
Right.
And
when you have the luxury and kind of the time latitude to do that, I, however, do not. I have a window that Jessie and I sit down on Sundays, plan it all out with her classes that she's teaching now, sometimes twice a day. I mean, it's like there's little windows, and then there's times that we have kids, we have all these other things. So it's like if I have a 2-hour window to work out, and I go, well, I think I'm going to read a book, which of course would never happen. But I'm going to do something else instead. I'm going to dink around on the computer for an hour. Your window now, you have an hour for a workout.
Yeah.
And if you blow that, then you have it's not like, well, I'll just go later. There is no later. You have other things, and I guarantee you, thousands of people out there that can totally relate to that. That's like, I get my workout in from 4 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning. And if I don't do it that time, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So.
Even our friend Dr. Matt Silvers over at Whitworth.
Oh, gosh.
He has to schedule it in, and he makes those times, whether it's late at night, early in the morning, certain times of the weekend, or weekends is family time for sure.
Right.
But you just have to do it when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah. And sometimes when, you're limited on time, Ironman might not be the...
Maybe that's not should be your priority that year.
Or you adjust your goals going, okay, what can I accomplish by training 6 hours a week,
Yeah, we've had Matt on our show before, and that was one thing. Well, if you can't put that time in, well, what is your new time?
Right.
What is your new projected finish time?
Based upon a 6-hour-a-week training schedule.
Well, then be realistic.
That's what,
Yeah.
So true.
I'm afraid we're going to have to
we are gonna
shorten this podcast, even though it's almost 40, 46, 47 minutes, just because we're getting close to closing time here at Central Perk, the service station.
Central Perk. It's
I know it's not. I know it's not.
What's over there? Service Station Coffee.
I just don't want to...
We're actually the last ones here, but they're open till 9, but they're not...
I don't want to have
They vacuumed around us already, so...
What was your high and low today?
High low. I'm actually having my students write a paper on their high and low over winter break.
I guess we should probably preface what is high low.
High low. We play a game where especially when we travel or we're with friends and family. Jesse's really good about starting it, but it's called high low, and then we have a couple other things, but we'll just call it the high low.
Okay.
And it's your high of the day and the low of the day, and depending on where you're at. When we're in Hawaii, it's hard to find a low.
Sure.
Unless you get stitches or something like that.
Get injured today,
but normally there's just you have a high and then you have the lowest of your highs. But today, high, low, probably my low today is both Jesse and I had meetings this morning, which created some crazy kid coverage in the morning that was a little frantic. But we step back from it and go, if this is our big problem, it's just like we're creating a bigger problem than it needs to be. It's just like, it was an easy fix. It's just like, but Emma ended up getting to school a little late. So that was probably maybe my low today. Probably my high today. I have a lot of highs today, but I know this is going to sound goofy and corny, but today Jessie got a lot of feedback from people in her life that is real positive and cool and uplifting, and because of all the hard work she does and that she does with her classes and people that are in her lives or in her life, and I think that's really cool. She, So anyway, that's one of her kind of her love languages is I guess affirmations, words of affirmation, and so she got bombarded today, and just like So that was pretty cool to see. So that was kind of a high to me because she shared those with me, and I was just like, God, that's so cool, you know, so deserving. And anyway, so that was a high. And then I had other fun stuff that I did, but yeah, that was it. How about you?
I think it's a good game to play, or a good lesson to go through with you and your significant other at night, or with a friend, just for like, hey, just a perspective on the day.
Right.
So you go to bed thinking, okay, there was some accomplishment there, and maybe here's some things I can work on for tomorrow, or see if I can make it better for tomorrow.
Well, and sometimes it's a great opportunity to check in. Sometimes when you run into people and you sit and chit chat, or you're talking about dinner, or you're talking about a TV show or whatever, this is a lot more about them, you know, to find out. And it's like, yeah, so and so was a jerk today, just treated me poor, you know, or whatever it is, and you're like, whoa, you know, that normally probably wouldn't come up, but you know.
One kind of the high that I had was that I got a call, or I got an email from people who know I also produce car review videos on a regular basis for Everyman Driver, and I got an email from an agency that represents Volvo, and I've been putting out these emails over and over again to all the different manufacturers monthly, and give them stats, or not monthly, but give them some stats like, here's how we've grown as a channel and stuff. And I got an email that says, we'd like to invite you. All these media invites are all expenses paid.
Oh, wow.
So when I went to Lake Tahoe a month ago or something for a Kia Sorrento event, they fly you down there for a day, have you drive something, stay the night, and then a little bit more media coverage, and then you go home. So it's basically a 48-hour turn. Well, I got a call from email from Volvo saying, we'd like you to test out this Volvo V60 or something like that. It's in San Francisco, and it's over a 2.5-day event. Drive from San Francisco to Lake Tahoe.
In the Volvo?
In the Volvo. It's a 2-day thing.
Uh-huh.
So they fly you down there, drive for those 2 days with the car, and then you fly home from Lake Tahoe.
Cool.
So they said it's all expense. With either you or someone, every woman driver would like to come down from your staff. Every woman driver is Melissa.
Right.
And so I said, I'm going to do it. I called Melissa first, said, hey, can I go? Does this work with our schedule? And then I said, maybe we can get you to go too. If it's just media credentials, or we can have you fly down your own, and then you just bunk
Come
with me.
with me. Yeah,
and then we can both do this for kind of a fun trip. And so she was all excited. So that was a big high.
Wow.
It was a neat little thing.
When's that happening?
Finally, the end of the month.
Oh, okay, so soon.
26, that's a week and a half. 26th to 28th, I think it is.
Okay.
Lowe's, I think it just... I'm still recovering from the last couple of days. I went to Detroit last weekend from Sunday to Tuesday.
You just got back.
Got back last night at 10. So 72 hours of following the Detroit Auto Show. I put together 18 videos, even a podcast, and I saw Jerry Seinfeld.
I saw that picture.
Oh my gosh, it was so cool for me. And
you didn't get an autograph or anything.
He was in and out. It was hard to get close to him.
And he was promoting Acura?
He was there with Acura as a guest, and they
Oh.
rolled out this $150,000 NSX.
Yeah, the new NSX.
Oh my god, yeah, it's pretty badass. It's a supercar. It looks really cool. So I did that for Everyman Driver, and last couple nights I had like 4 hours of sleep each night. I lose hours going to Detroit.
Right.
So that sucked. We had to get up at 7:30, leave at 7:30 to go to downtown Detroit from the airport to do this big convention for 12 hours and then come back. But I loved it because that's what I like to do. I like to work, edit, and get things out.
Done, yeah.
But then coming home yesterday was just a long day. So I'm still recovering.
Yeah.
So anything that's at my only low is still trying to catch
Just
up.
tired.
A little bit.
Don't
But
get
I'm excited.
sick.
My other high would be coming here doing this.
Yeah.
Looking
knocking
forward to
thing
this.
out.
Yeah.
Hey, we're ahead of one a month, so
That's right. We're going to have
so
two
now
at
we
least.
can take next month off. Just kidding.
Well, we have some topics we can talk about next time around.
Sure.
And we'll work it around our schedules.
Well, we
and
got
make it
races
happen.
coming up. I mean, not like race coverage. Richie Cunningham, however.
That's right. Pucan,
won.
right?
Yeah, it was 70.3.
In Chile?
Yeah,
Argentina?
I think, is that what it is? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Starts the year off with a win. That's
That was
pretty
great
cool.
for Richie, for Timex. Yeah.
And I've been wearing my Fit band, my Move 20.
Move 20. X20.
Move X20.
Move X20
Move X20.
activity band.
Yeah, I dig it. You know what I like about it?
Right.
Is it and Jessie has one now too. I got her one for Christmas.
Only like $99.
Yeah, they're a steal, and it goes to an app on your phone, real simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the sleep function. I like to see how I sleep, how much deep sleep I get,
Yep.
And how that's cyclical, how much I'm up. You know,
Yeah.
actually truly awake.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just like looking at that. Steps. It tells me how much I move around during the day.
Which does work on a treadmill, by the way.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it worked on a tread. I had to actually.
You still have to calibrate
it. But again, when I'm walking around versus running, that's a big difference. So,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, it does tell you your activity for the day and stuff, and it has a Find My Phone feature, which is cool.
Right.
It's hooked up Bluetooth. If your phone's on vibrate or silent or turned off, it doesn't work as well. But if it's on, it's pretty easy. But yeah, I dig it. It's pretty cool. And
Weather shows up because it's synced to your
weather,
phone.
yep, tells you what the weather is from your phone.
And I don't know, this is
and
special.
the phone thing.
You know what? My activity band vibrates 1 second or two before my phone.
Yeah, mine
How does that
too.
work? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
It must be just quicker on the buzz. But anyway, yeah,
Yes.
and then it sends text messages through. You see the first parts of the text
Yep.
messages, and so it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. It's fun. It's simple. It's small. It's pretty cool looking.
It is, yeah, it's cool. And I've practiced with it with the sleep, and I did an experiment actually recently. Because I was wondering, how does it track your sleep, light sleep and deep sleep?
It's your movement.
It's based on movement.
Yeah.
So and
You're thrashing around.
and wondering how much I thrashed around. So I set it on my table next to my bed,
Right.
nightstand. I just set it there because I get up because the dogs get up at
Right.
night, and I had 6 hours of sleep
Of blue?
of deep sleep.
Yeah, because it didn't move.
So that explains that my hand moves when I'm moving
Right.
around, or whenever I stay still. That's considered deep sleep.
It's an algorithm. I don't know what it is, but it's cool.
Yeah, I like it. It's simple, and you can wear it. It's like an accessory almost.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
getting the eye here.
All right, we are getting the eye. Okay, let's wrap this up. Episode 128.
Sure, sounds good.
Hope you guys enjoyed this. We had a variety of topics today, whether it was endurance related, the sunglasses, the helmets, weight for
Weight.
racing, personal things. So I hope that's okay with our listeners and
I
viewers.
was all over.
That we're going to variety of the endurance. It's an hour of talking endurance
Or less,
related things,
or more.
life in general. Okay, so for Roger Thompson, I'm Dave. Thanks for listening. Have a great week of training because you're not racing right now.
Right, no.
Not likely. Unless you're in Australia because their summers right now.
They're coming out of it, though, now. They're on the slide.
Sliding. All right, man. Thank you. Good talk again. And thanks, guys, for listening. We'll see you next time around. Adios.